Hi, I'm Laura Benoist, the director of the McDonnell International Scholars Academy. And with me today, I have Fernando Lopez, our most recent Wrighton Alumni Award winner. I'm so excited to have you here with us today to talk a little bit more about your journey after your time here at WashU, as well as what the McDonnell Academy means to you.
Fantastic. I'm very excited to be here today.
I do kind of want to tell the story of when I called you about, actually I should let you tell the story, but I called you to let you know that you were getting this year's Wrighton Alumni Award. And tell me the story of how that felt to you.
Well, this award is like the Nobel Prize for me. And this award is very special because recognitions of your career are mostly based on what you accomplish and makes it in your CV. And this award has a huge component for all those things that you do but do not show up in your CV. I do many things that don't show up in my CV, and I really love to do them. And so this prize is very special because recognizes all of that. So I'm very excited, and also this award is very special because I have wonderful memories of my time here in WashU, and especially with the Academy, with my family. And so this is so special to me.
So tell me, what are some of your favorite memories of your time at WashU?
Well, I was just saying to the ladies of the staff that the first time I put a foot with my wife in the Academy building, we were a little bit concerned about the transition because my wife is very close to her family in Chile, and 5 years here afar was challenging. And so we put a foot, and it was Christine, it was Angie, and they shouted, "Wow, Fernando and Connie, so nice to meet you, come here." And they came and hugged us. And that was so important. That was a nudge that allowed us to enter into this new stage of our journey in a more comfortable way. We found a family here the first day we stepped here.
I think that's one of the special things about the Academy is that landing pad of support for all of our graduate students so that they feel comfortable and ready to do what they came to WashU to do, which is to get, in your case, a PhD, and for many others, masters. So having you be able to share that experience, and help you be comfortable straight off is really amazing.
Absolutely. And actually, we are not just a professional pursuing a major. We have families, we live in an environment, and our success is connected with the comfort of our group. Absolutely. So that aspect is very important. The Academy does many activities that include our family, and that allow us to walk more smoothly our journey here, and also to be more relaxed and be more successful in what we do. Yeah, so that's great, and is part of the uniqueness of the Academy.
Yes, I think it's one of the things that community piece is so important to everything that we do, and additionally that idea of bringing so many different scholars from around the world to get that global perspective, really leans into why this place is so very special. So one of the main reasons you were selected for this year's Wrighton Award is because of how much of an ambassador you are for WashU in Chile. Can you tell us about some of the ways that you've really built the brand of Washington University in Chile?
Well, I found in the McDonnell Academy that leaders, ambassadors, and very distinguished faculty members with many, high-end projects spend a considerable amount of time with students. mentoring them, and trying to find ways to support them and to transmit their experience. And that definitely impacted me, because the culture in Chile is a little bit different. Here, you write to Mark Wrighton, you write to Jim by that time, and you get pretty much an immediate response and a follow-up. And that took my attention. And so I have tried to do the same in Chile. When I was in academia, I tried to spend more time with my students, mentoring them, and not just doing what you have to do, but going beyond, so to help them to find their place in the world, to find what's their inspiration, and lead them in a way where they can live, fulfilling lives in different aspects. And so that was something that shocked me, because seeing people that are so prestigious, taking so much care for people, for students, that impacted me, and I consider it a great example that is, to me, I want to replicate.
And I'm sure your students found a lot more success based on that incredible experience.
Absolutely.
I know that you've helped different faculty members as they've gone to visit Chile, just in figuring the logistics around, as well as being such a willing participant in the alumni events that we've been doing virtually over Zoom. How has that been for you to share back with the current McDonnell Scholars, your experience after you've sort of left that WashU nest?
Well, part of the deal of the McDonnell is that you are an ambassador, and an ambassador for life. And I took that very seriously. And that in part came because I fell in love with the vision of the program since I saw it. So, and this is such a wonderful opportunity for students that I find it worth to try to make what it is in my reach to make others, especially in Chile, aware of this opportunity. So I have been very enthusiastic since I was in the PhD program to organize all sorts of events that will make this program known to students in Chile. And that entails hosting ambassadors and visitors from WashU, and organizing settings where what's going on here can be transmitted in Chile, where we have this barrier of the language, of the culture. And in that context, my work is critical, because I sort of make it easier for the ambassador to communicate with someone who is just in the Chilean culture. And that's very exciting. I love to do that.
Well, I think you had one of the most successful, as we went into the pandemic and came out of it. I know Tabea worked with you, and I got the report back of the Zoom call that you guys did that had, 150 different students on it, just as a come hear about WashU. And really, that was the partnership that you had with Tabea to make that successful, to reduce the entire thing was in Spanish. It totally got rid of that language barrier, and it was really approachable and accessible for these students, and to help them understand, what that possibility is here at WashU.
WashU is a very prestigious university, and many would like to come here. But some of the things that students don't know have to do with things that are not curricular or of the program.
Sure.
So how is the city to live? How expensive it is? Is it true? All these marvelous things that say in the academy.
Right.
And so I come in and say, well, this is true.
This maybe not so much.
This it is as a promise, and I can go and share about things that are relevant from the Chilean perspective. So in that context, it is important to have someone local that lived the experience to share, back in our countries.
Yeah, you've been an absolutely wonderful emissary, and we find that is the formula for success for these students that are considering, going to school in an entirely different country, one that they maybe never have visited, they maybe never have left their own country, but to have somebody who gets them and also can kind of guide them through the whole process and understanding, as you said, are all of these wonderful things true? And what can I expect, or how can I learn about different programs at WashU?
Where do I live? What can I do with my wife? Can she study? Where do my children go to school? Am I too old to apply? All of these things that you can only answer if you know the culture and you live through the experience.
Right.
So this partnership with ambassadors is very important for the success in conveying the message that we want to convey.
Yeah. I know a few years ago you sat on our academia panel to talk to the scholars, and I know you've transitioned into consulting. So tell us about that exciting new venture.
Well, at the beginning it was not very exciting because I was excited in academia. But then I faced this choice between family, which for personal reasons we had to leave 2 hours from Santiago, where universities are, and family and my career as an academic full-time. And I chose family. That was super painful, but it was a good choice because my family is well. And now, since then, I have been doing consulting work that builds up on what I did during my academic career. I mostly do research on pensions, different aspects of pensions, regulation, performance of investments, industrial organization, how I study how people make financial choices associated with retirement. And currently, I am studying how we can incorporate sustainability and climate change considerations into the investments of pension funds in Chile and Latin America.
Oh, that's amazing. And what are you learning in that what are the good answers for that?
Well, of course, it is challenging. Let me explain you the trade-off. And the academy has been what I learned in the academy has been very instrumental. On the one hand, we're facing huge challenges with climate change. We need to reduce carbon emissions, and we need to adapt to climate change that is here. And one of the things you need to do that is resources, huge amounts of resources. Pension funds manage a huge amount of resources. And so the problem is when you go to the practical aspect of it, is that populism is one of the main challenges, because in the name of climate change, in the name of sustainability or anything, you can deviate resources to finance any political agenda or any other interest, and that's a bad thing. So the challenge is to find a reasonable way to contribute to this big issue. For instance, in Chile, about 90% of the population is exposed to one or more consequences of climate change. So if you think that pension funds are a long-term investment, you are not only concerned for how much you will make during retirement, but also what type of place you will live in. So it makes sense to think in terms of these two goals. but putting that into practice is very challenging for what I say about populism. So that's a work in progress. And in that context, the exposure to the academy, to different disciplines, to different cultures, has made me very aware that my discipline as an economist, financial economist, doesn't have all answers. Mm-hmm. So I need to be open to other methods, to other perspectives to approach this problem. If I think that only with my own perspective I will have all the answers, I know that I'm wrong. And the academy makes that very present, and you take that very seriously. Mm-hmm.
And does that help? I mean, I imagine that helps in having those conversations as you're trying to get these funds to consider, sustainability financing. I mean, that is a huge lever for changing climate change. You get money, supporting things that will reduce carbon and help the planet. I imagine that perspective that you gained at the academy really helps you to explain why that's important.
Absolutely. And everybody could agree, out of the mouth, that we from our own discipline, we don't have all answers. Mm-hmm. But to take that seriously is something that is challenging. So the experience in the academy give you that awareness that there are other ways to look at your problem. Mm-hmm. You don't have all answers. This awareness, when you take that seriously, that enriches your work and makes it more effective. Mm-hmm. More effective in terms of the process, because you are more open and eager to bring more people mm-hmm. on the table, more opinions to the table. And also that makes it more fun and more effective. Right. So, and that's great.
Probably makes you a good consultant as well.
Absolutely.
It'll be fun tomorrow. I know you're joining us for at least some part of our scholar retreat. Mm-hmm. We're excited to talk about leadership with you tomorrow, but the session right before yours is about emotional intelligence. So I think that's really going to fit nicely with what you've just said here, and what you'll talk to the scholars tomorrow about. So I'm excited for that. Now let me ask you a preview question for tomorrow. So what leadership advice would you give to a PhD scholar or someone who is just starting their program?
Well, I think it is very important to find our place. Something that I have struggled with a lot was to find my place, because this is what happens. You are very good at your discipline. Mm-hmm. That's why we are here.
Absolutely.
And you are exposed to people who did amazing careers in all disciplines, and you see your advisors as someone you want to imitate.
Right.
But there is a problem. What if your place is not the place of your advisor? And that's very hard to see. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to see. One of the risks that we face is to build up an illusion of trying to be someone, try to build up a career that looks very nice, that we fell in love with, mm-hmm. but it's not your place.
Right.
It's very hard to see that is not your place when the only person you are seeing is your advisor.
Yes.
And this illusion. So my advice would be careful and try to find your place, because if you are a hand and you think that you are a foot, you will have trouble. You will work very hard, but you will have trouble. It will not be smooth. It's like a duck a duck on water, is nice. A duck on ground is clumsy. Yeah. So, and that's hard to see. It's hard to see. You see so amazing people and you say, wow, that's what I want to do. And you mix with your ideal here with the very successful people there. You make a combination, and that's maybe not your place.
Right.
And each of us have to discover what our place is, because that's where we will make the best of ourselves, the maximum contribution.
And I think that's why having our alumni connected back to our scholars is so important, to really help them understand that life is not linear. It's not a what y equals mx plus b sort of formula, and success for each individual could look different. I think having the advice of somebody, especially in your case, who's looked at both sides of that academia versus business and consulting perspective, is to really help them understand why you made the decisions that you made, and helping them understand that it's okay not to set an expectation and then reset that expectation when you start to realize, wait, my success is going to look a little bit different than my advisor's success.
Absolutely, and I have had many of these hard choices, because you have this idea of what you want to be, the career you want to do, and then you face choices that are hard. Well, it happened to me in the PhD. I was very passionate about personal finance, how people make financial choices, but my advisors were specialized in other topics. So if I go with what my advisors do, I have better chances of publications, a better recommendation letter, etc. But you won't be as in their field, But you won't be. I wouldn't be as excited as I was with this other topic. And I did, I follow my instinct. That has a cost. Sure. That has a cost. And in that aspect, I have faced many choices. Then I had, career. I was doing well. Career and family. Well, I have a son. I have my wife. Well, family. And these choices, these trade-offs make it's like give you a reality check and help us to find our way. And this award is also, it makes me very excited, because it's a recognition to some extent to these choices.
Yes.
For instance, pensions in Chile was a very hot topic from a political perspective. Yes. But you won't get very far in terms of publications, but doing research on those topics. Sure. But I was very excited, it was important. I had something to say, to contribute to this public discussion. And I said, what I'm gonna do? I will make the contribution, because here I can make a difference.
Right.
And then over the years, by doing that, of course, I struggled with the academia, with the requirements of academia. Sure. To progress, but I built up a career. And now I have been doing consulting for Costa Rica, Ecuador, Uruguay, and my career has flourished. Yes. And even though I left academia after the pandemic, I went to Catapilco, a very tiny town. Do not even have a gas station.
Okay.
But I have received all these job offers, all these consulting jobs that are very exciting, where I can make a difference, and now I get this award. So it's a very different career path, very different from what I expected, what I wanted to build, but the choices I have made, following my passion, following my who I am, being being honest to who I am has led me to be very productive, but in a very different way than I expected. And so that's why this is...
I think it's hard to think about a PhD. You know, a PhD student is measured on publications. And that's about it. But impact in the world is measured very differently. And I think what you've chosen to do and the way you've chosen to do it is creating a much broader impact, especially in the realm of pensions, than you could have ever dreamed of having while sitting in academia.
Yeah, and but it's a different way. I mean, we need basic science. We need to move the frontier. The thing is, but what is your place?
Right.
What is my place? That looked very nice. I admired those publications. I admired those who do it. I wanted to be one of them, but that was not me.
Right.
My place is a different place. Spending time with students, not only with the very top students, but with a student that is struggling to find what career path to follow.
Right.
Not or advising someone to get into the academy. There are tons of hours invested in things like that, and that's why this award is so special for me, because it's a recognition of many of the things you do that do not show up in your CV.
Yes, I love circling back to that, because that is really one of the core tenets of the Academy, is that ability to be in a community of different people around the world and be connected. And that connection doesn't show up on a CV. I mean, your LinkedIn profile, maybe it shows up on, but real connections and real advice and real interactions with people don't show up on a CV. And I think that's where you've had a huge impact to our current scholars and to, students that you used to work with and potential McDonnell scholars that might come our way.
Well, and that's fruit in part of what I received here. Because in the formality, we have this nice trip to New York,
right,
to Washington, D.C., the generosity of the financial package. But something that does not show up there is the conversation. Is the conversation that made a difference.
Yeah.
Is the conversation where someone who has many other things to do chose to spend time with you and help you to find your way.
Yep.
Or maybe just
learn about you.
Learn about you, to share with you.
Yeah.
That doesn't show up, but that makes an impact. Mm-hmm. And it's important. And I think to that extent, that resembles, what is recognized in this award to me resembles what I received from the Academy, and that's very nice.
And paying it forward, right? That's exactly what you've been doing, on behalf of WashU and the Academy in Chile, is just paying it forward, helping people to understand, this is what I received, and let me help you also receive something like this. And I think that's really powerful.
It's like taking the bread, someone gave me the bread, I ate it, and then I shared the bread. Yeah. And it's wonderful.
Absolutely. And we really appreciate all the work that you've done, around the world. And I'm looking forward to the conversation with the scholars tomorrow. I think that idea of purpose, finding what your purpose is something we've started talking about with the scholars in the leadership seminar, because I think there is that conflict between that expectation and what you think you should do and who you should be and who you really are, and understanding what your life's purpose is, I think is a journey that you've been on for quite some time.
And I'm still on it.
Absolutely. We all are.
Yes.
So, Fernando, we are at the point where you get to issue a challenge to the current scholars or the current alumni. And what is your challenge for our community?
Well, the challenge for each one of us, including myself, is to reach out to one scholar in residence or alumni that we have not met at least once a year. The Academy is growing every year. You have more countries, more universities, and keeping the pace with that community is challenging. So one way to partially address this is to reach out someone we don't know.
I love it. I love it. I think that's
at least once a year.
I think that's a great idea, and I love that now that we have global scholars, we have additional areas of the world that we can explore through this process. So pick up the phone, drop an email. I guess you could do social media too. Make an Instagram post. Yeah. I'm not that gal, but yeah, to keep building this community with 100 scholars in residence and more than 200 alumni now. You're right. If we're going to keep pace, we absolutely need to keep learning about this community and the members of it. Good challenge.
And we're all very busy, but we can do one person a year.
I think we can do that. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'm so excited for this year to see what else you will inspire this community to do. You've been so inspirational so far, such a wonderful emissary in Chile and here at WashU, and I look forward to see what else is happening in your career as you go.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very honored by this award and very excited to be here again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.